We become what we repeatedly practice, and friendship is no different. Every conversation, every silence, every act of honesty or avoidance creates a rhythm. The question is, are our friendships creating consciousness or drifting? Welcome to our friendly world. Here we go. Cue the music. I am Fawn.
And Matt. We're an interracial couple with 2 kids wanting to do something that highlights the power of friendship and what it means to be in the company of true friends. We're going to move our society away and out of the loneliness epidemic and into a friendlier, happier world. Welcome to our friendly world. Better, stronger, together.
Welcome back to our friendly world, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So when we repeat something long enough, that thing, like fear, negativity, procrastination.
How about joy? How about laughter?
No. I know. Hold on a second. Well, yeah, that if we had just those as our main thing, we wouldn't be talking about anything today. All right. But there is a lot of fear, negativity, procrastination, being passive, resentment. There's a lot of self-doubt, unhealthy thinking. These things create a hypnotic rhythm. And you're right, Matt. The positive also creates maybe a hypnotic rhythm, but that's not a problem. This is the problem. And I think this is what has contributed to feeling so alone and separate and creating this no village kind of life, no family kind of life. Because the self-doubt, the unhealthy thinking, these things are hypnotic. It creates a hypnotic rhythm that becomes an automatic pattern that eventually controls our lives. These patterns become cemented, and especially if we are unconscious to it, it becomes so fixed and so difficult to overcome later. We end up mindlessly drifting without thought or purpose. And our relationships, from friendship to just every kind of relationship, becomes an autopilot driven, zombie like empty void. I know this is not positive, but again, I'm sounding the bells for all of us to pay attention, to become free thinkers, to become intelligent, and stop being controlled by fear and being controlled by propaganda, whatever it is. So we already know that thoughts become habits, habits become rhythms, rhythms become identity, and identity shapes destiny and erases our conscious choice. So if we repeatedly avoid hard conversations, choose comfort over growth, numb our emotions, react defensively, or live in fear, eventually that becomes the default rhythm. Friendship isn't only built by major moments, it's built by repeated emotional rhythms. A healthy friendship, to me, creates rhythms like checking in, listening, accountability, repair after conflict. Conflict is not a problem. I think it's a problem when we don't work through it. We just leave it at that conflict. And granted, sometimes you shouldn't try to repair it. You should leave. That's fine. So doing things like celebrating growth, having emotional honesty, and mutual encouragement. Over time, these healthy rhythms create trust and emotional resilience. The friendship itself becomes a healing force. When we're drifting from negative patterns or rhythms, we stop noticing how disconnected we've become, how shallow the friendship has become, how resentment has been building. and how fear is driving everything. And that just is a great recipe for loneliness. So, I mean,
Well, now hold on. Let's put the brakes on that for just a second, okay? And yes, I understand. Here we are, but I would also say that there's a lot of people who are living pretty okay. Everything's okay. We're it's Tuesday. We're going to go out to such and such restaurant. It's, on Saturdays, we're going to go do this. We're going to go do that because it happens to be Sunday or, it happens to be spring or it happens to be whatever it is. That's a danger too.
yeah, because it's just a mindless, it's not like you're declaring, I'm going to do this. You're just on autopilot.
You're on
like
autopilot, and that's the thing. And so
it's mindless.
I had a friend, and my friend would always say, practice makes permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start getting into your rhythm, your routine, your whatever, it becomes permanent. The trick is to mix it up. And mixing it up is an awesome thing because sometimes it sucks. And I want to say literally, like I'll drag us to some random spot that I just found out about. Sometimes it sucks. I want to say 80% of the time it sucks, which is fun.
And actually, like sometimes when we go to places where things suck, we laugh so hard that it becomes fun.
And there you go. And
like watching a really bad show, like garbage shows.
Well, I used to go and see, I had a friend and we would go see bad movies because we knew they were bad. And again, and I know I've talked about this numerous times, we saw The Matrix on the opening weekend. That was not a bad movie, but it was supposed to be. Wow. That was an interesting surprise that happened to us. That's the thing. You have to open yourself up to magic. You have to open yourself up to surprises. And these are the things that, for me at least, help me grow, help me see patterns, help me proceed and do the next thing, even though I know 4 times out of 5 it's just not going to be as cool as I think it's going to be. It still makes me grow.
I mean, I think the danger of falling into that rhythm is you're unconscious, and when you're unconscious, other forces can come take over, whether it's an unhealthy relationship, an unhealthy friendship, or just whatever propaganda is trying to change people's minds or sway people. You end up like going with the tide back and forth, and you have no control over that. And I think it's time for us to start having strength and emotional power and some smarts.
And we have to get a little bit more comfortable with being a little bit more uncomfortable at times.
I mean, I had to become comfortable with being wrong. I thought I saw the world a certain way, and I thought over here these people were in the wrong, and I would stay away from them. But now I'm like, whoa, I was swayed. So I have to change my mind.
You could be swayed completely. You could be swayed back.
But
you could be swayed sideways,
but
upside
I'm not
down.
drifting. That's the thing that I hope that I'm not being drifted around by some other force. I'm praying. I'm consciously telling myself, hey, I better be using my smarts here. I better be using my brain. I better be using my intellect and not being swayed by something else to make me go here and there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but in response to the whole friendship thing, like, for example, taking this to just one example, I can think of someone I thought I was becoming friends with. And early on in the friendship, I noticed that she definitely, oh my goodness, started talking terribly about, there was a little group that was formed. She started talking terribly about this other person. Now, I had hung out with them one other time with this group.
Mm-hmm.
She was so friendly to this person that she was speaking so ill about on the phone with me. It literally made me sick. Like, I had never had that reaction before. Normally, I'd be like, oh man, this person sucks. Like the
Right.
person who's talking badly about this other person, when they do that, they suck, and I'm going to stay away from them because guaranteed they'll speak that way about me as well.
Of course.
No matter what, even if I haven't done anything wrong, I know they're going to say something because that's hate. Just that hateful energy is how they roll. So that was flag number one, the red flag number one. Then the second one I didn't realize was a flag until the friendship ended in such a terrible way. It was so hurtful. It really hurt our family for a while. It took us a while to overcome. But so I'm Persian. And so one of the first things she said to me is, "Oh, I had a Persian friend. You remind me of her." And I think I did ask, like, what was she like? Blah, blah, blah. I was nothing like this person. But in her mind, in this person's mind, just the mere fact that I was Persian, she only saw that other person that I did not know on me. It didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter how different I looked. It didn't matter how different I lived, how I spoke. She only would see her past and would put that person on me. And later, I understood that they had such a big blowout, and the person in her mind was so irrational and ended up hurting her feelings. So this was her opportunity to see me as that person, if I'm making any sense.
You are.
And it's her opportunity to get back at that person by trying it out on me. So all the things she wanted to do to this person that hurt her in the past, she was going to practice on me. Does that make sense, Matt?
It does.
Help me explain it. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense. Like if I hear myself talking back, like listening to myself with what I just said, I'm like, what are you talking about?
So I've been wrestling, honestly, I had been wrestling. There is a guy who I was hired with who reminds me so much of my brother that I almost feel fraternal towards him, like brotherly. I want to take care of him. But I wasn't affording him the opportunity to be who he was, because he is not my brother. He may remind me of him. He may talk like him, walk like him, act like him. But you always have to afford people the opportunity to change, to grow, and to come into who they are at any point. And it's especially terrible when you just immediately lock someone in a box. And so I worked really hard not to. And I gave him his kudos when he
But
earned
that's
them.
because you're awake.
And it's hard, but
you know what I'm saying?
It's a constant
I'm saying
struggle.
when we're unconsciously moving about
Right.
like a zombie, that we become part of this rhythm
Right.
because we're so used to thinking a certain way. Like obviously she had more negative thoughts in her mind constantly about many things. And she had set that rhythm, and that rhythm lulled her into the life that she had, this bubble that she had.
Right.
So it had nothing to do with me other than that I was trying to be friends with her, trying to put our circles together. And it was incredibly painful because the charge was so different.
Right.
She was so negative. And I came in wanting to create family,
Right.
friendship family. And boy, was it a rude awakening. But that's what happens. And I think that's one of the reasons why so much strife exists right now, is because people fall into these rhythms and they don't know that they have, right?
Right.
They don't know that what they're looking at is just because just because you're feeling something doesn't make it a fact.
And just because someone reminds you so much of someone else, they're not them.
But then there is a difference, because we were talking about this in the car this morning, and you were saying, well, you were giving it a different example.
A different example.
And I was like, honey, I don't think that is a rhythm. I think that you were talking about somebody else, and I said, you are speaking from personal experience where you can see patterns, and you've already noticed a set amount of patterns in this person. So you know how things are going to go. So you're not going to be friends with this person. It's not the same thing as unconsciously going with a rhythm and not allowing a friend to happen, like a friendship to happen,
Right.
because you're like, oh, this person's Persian. I know that person. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I didn't necessarily want to dwell on the other story.
Well, I
but
just the only reason I bring it up
I
though
will
is to
afford
say,
him the opportunity to surprise me, though.
but the only reason I'm bringing it up, Matt, is because that when you were describing that to me,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that came from looking at personal experience, not a rhythm that you sleepwalked into. So definitely go with your intuition. Definitely go with your knowledge base and recognizing patterns. Don't discount that and think, oh, that's just a rhythm I fell into. No, there's a difference.
And I know, but however, I still, again, I'm going to afford him the opportunity to surprise me. I'm just not going to reach out as far as I had been.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, when I do recognize those patterns and I've asked myself the tough questions, like, have I sleepwalked into this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing what this other person did to me? Am I doing it to someone else?
Right.
Ask myself those hard questions and make sure I know the correct answer,
Mm-hmm.
the true answer, and either fix it or stay away from that person.
Right.
Because again, personal experience, a lifetime so far of having lived experience. Those are my tools and I'm not going to not use them. That's it.
So shake it up, people. Do something a little different.
You always
Break
say,
free.
step out of the box, right?
Step free.
Well, yeah.
Do something different.
Do something different, but consciously declare what you want. Declare to yourself, this is what I'm going to get. Like even praying, don't beg. Say, this is what I declare. I declare that I will become this by this time, doing this. I am grateful for your help. I ask for your help. Let's go. We're not victims. We are victims, though, if we fall into that zombie-like state. So we have to study. How do we become smarter, Matt? How do we wake up from the trance, that drifting trance?
Shake it up. Get up a half an hour early. Get up a half an hour late. Have something different for breakfast. It starts, I think, with the little things.
I think it starts with getting some rest, for sure.
Certainly getting rest, but mix it up. Just mix it up. Do
Sit
something
quietly.
you wouldn't normally do. If you normally, want to scream and shout, be quiet. If you normally want to be quiet, scream and shout.
Sometimes when I'm driving, I realize, oh my gosh, let me turn off the radio. Everywhere I go, there's sound. And why? Because my thoughts are so invasive sometimes that I'm just wanting distraction. And that creates me to drift because I want to drift away from what's bothering me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just turn off the music, turn off anything, stop. Like I'm editing photos on the computer, but I'm listening to another podcast or something, No, just turn it off and see what natural sounds come to you. Be conscious about what's coming into your ear, what's coming into your eyeballs, Anyway, okay, for real, I'm done for today. But I'm here open. Please reach out to us anytime you like. Email us. Have a lovely everyday. Is there anything else you want to add?
Not a thing.
All right. We'll see you. We'll speak to you in a few days.
Be well, everyone.